Hey everyone, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we have a treat for you. This is the 2020 Ram 2500 HD featuring the inline-six Cummins 6.7 liter turbo diesel, made it up to its 6-speed automatic transmission. This, I'm just going to say it right now, is about the best 2500 truck you can get. Now, I've spent time in Chevy and GMC's new HD trucks, and I've spent some time in Ford Super Duties as well, which are getting a little long in the tooth, but we know an update's coming. And I can tell you with full certainty that neither of them can hold a candle to Ram's 2500. This thing rides so good. The interior is so nice. Sure, you might have a little feature here and there that might be a little bit more important to you or a little bit more well executed on one of its rivals, but as an overall comprehensive package, this Ram takes the cake. So I know the sunlight's probably not great for you, but at this point you should be able to see in here. We've got a pretty standard bed. Got a tonneau cover on here that pops off quite easily. You just flip these down, that up, and then away it goes. But you guys all know what a truck bed looks like. We'll leave that attached. Now this is not automatic. Some of you who saw my 3500 HD Silverado review see it's got an automatic liftgate. This will automatically release, but it doesn't have to pull back up, which is nice. So this tailgate, you can come back here with the key and go, tailgate comes down. That is awesome for when either you or oftentimes somebody else needs to throw something in the back. You can just pop that button and down it goes. Now this is Ram's flame red color, and I think it looks really, really cool offset with these white lettering tires. Now I could take or leave the black wheels, but man, does this package just look cool. This is the type of truck that I could see having a toy of when I was a little kid. Something just like this. Let's take a look in the back seat. They do have these automatic running boards that come down. They fold up both for ground clearance, but more importantly, fuel economy. So even in the back seat here, this is a full cab, crew cab, but man, is it comfortable. The seats are good. You've got 2 USB Type-C ports, 2 USB Type-A ports, 3-stage heated seats, a grippy little storage thing there, 2 grippy cup holders that fully remove so you can clean them out. Got a center armrest here with, you guessed it, 2 more cup holders. Nice soft spot to rest your arms. I've got so much room back here. It's awesome. You do have some latch anchors back there for latching down a car seat base, so that's good. Speakers right here, which we'll talk about a little more in a bit. And obviously plenty of legroom. Storage in the doors, that's nice to see. And even behind these storage things, this plastic, nothing sharp, nothing harsh, very well done. And this isn't even a top trim. I should say this is a Laramie trim. So even though you're spending quite a lot of money to get this specific model, it's not even all the way top. And yet the materials are so good. Everything feels nice, looks good, it's comfortable. Just soaking in the nice leather seats with some Alcantara accents here. With the big old Ram logo there in the middle. This huge center console is vast but also functional. So you've got this big armrest here comes up. This top portion, all felty, so nothing hard, nothing's going to rattle. Got a USB port in there. Then you can lift this part up. You've got some kind of gimmicky, but I suppose sort of useful mathematical and geometrical equations on here. You got your sine, cosine, tangent, trigonometry, all that deal. What I could actually see being quite useful is the metric to imperial, or I should say fractional conversions right here. Probably not super easy to see those on camera, but anyway. Then you got this center thing, which moves back and forth and can be removed if done properly. Then down here, you've got loads of, again, rubberized, matted, but removable storage down there. 2 cup holders. And then, my favorite cell phone mechanism of the entire new car market. Right here, slap your phone in. It's held very secure. It's not rattling. It's not going around in the corners. And this is a wireless phone charger. So when I start the car up, you'll see my phone's going to start charging. How cool is that? So you got enough space for 2, maybe even 3 devices there, as well as little slots here that you could plug into the charging port way down here at the bottom, which you do have a 110 volt outlet down there, right? Yep, 110 house style outlet way down there. So you could run cables up here and charge your devices if they're not wireless charging capable. You have a little bit of storage there. 2 more USB-A and USB Type-C ports. A little change counter here. Just so much good usable space. Very well executed by Ram. Over on the side, not too many more surprises. You've got a little upper storage compartment there and glove box down there. A little bit of storage up here. Then we got this big old center display. Whoops, got our sound test music going there. So I've used both the standard sized Uconnect display and then this large one extensively in multiple Rams. And to be honest, I actually kind of prefer the small display. This large one isn't bad. It's better than the large displays in the Subaru. Not quite as good as the large display in the Tesla. But there's nothing that this screen can do that the little screen can't. And with the little screen, you get more physical HVAC controls. I want to say, it's been a while since I've been in one of those, but I think there are some other controls, like maybe radio controls that are physical as well. And this just doesn't take full advantage of all the space like it really needs to. I actually don't have my phone cable right now, but when you plug Android Auto in, it splits the screen in half and does half of what you were doing, like climate or radio or certain other apps on one part, and then Android Auto on the other part, and I assume Apple CarPlay works the same. But I'll leave the map up for you, and when we go for a drive, you'll kind of be able to see how it works. It's decently responsive, but again, just a little bit overkill in my opinion, but if you're using the map a lot, it would be helpful. If you want to see more on the infotainment screen as well as the sound system, check out the link in the description for a sound system review where we review the 17-speaker Harman Kardon audio system in this truck. Spoiler alert, it's pretty good. So let's fire up this big bad 6.7 liter motor. Go for a drive. So before we get moving, I should show you the window sticker. I actually don't think I have one. I don't think I have a physical copy. So I'll put it up on the screen now. You can take a look through it, sort of see what options this truck has, and see that it costs, if I remember correctly, about $85,000. So not cheap, but this will generally be a work vehicle. So hopefully work is paying for it. Got the power sliding back window, which is nice. Alright, column shifter, as it should be. Not taking up any valuable space around here. Although the Ram 1500s with their little rotary shifter, that works pretty well as well. Nothing wrong with a classic column shifter. So when you first start driving the Ram 2500, you're like, oh man, this is a big truck. Especially if you haven't spent a lot of time recently in big HD trucks. But once you spend more time behind the wheel, you realize how good it is at being a daily drivable vehicle, even for being such a large, cumbersome vehicle. See how many more times I can see vehicle in the next 30 seconds. There is a lot of diesel clatter. This is a very stout motor. But you know, I've been living with it for a week now, doing a lot of driving, and it really isn't too bad. As long as you don't mind that grunty, diesel-y sound, it's endearing. I'm not exactly going to fly this thing out in traffic. Or maybe I will. Good thing I've got over 800 pound-feet of torque to motivate this beast. You will notice some rough shifts, but they're like characteristically rough. You can tell that it's big, chunky gears going into place. And if you're driving it smooth, you don't really have that rough shifting issue. Gosh, I just love driving around with the torque just swelling. This thing, I honestly don't even really mind daily driving it. And I've spent time in both 3500 HD Rams and 2500, technically it was a GMC, but GM Chevy trucks. And I can tell you that, yes, the 3500 Ram is a little bit more cumbersome, especially the dually, but it's still better than the Chevy. The Ford drives pretty well, but doesn't have quite the interior of the Ram, and the air suspension of the Ram really helps smooth out the ride as well. It's still firm. I mean, it's still a heavy-duty truck, don't get me wrong, but watch how fast I can push it around this corner here. Oh, it really killed power there. I think I pushed it in a little hard to begin with, but you'll see on some of these corners we take up here, as well as the on-ramp that we'll go on to on the highway, you can hustle this thing a lot more than you think you'd be able to. And it doesn't really protest it. Now, I'm not saying these are merits of a full-size truck. This isn't how a truck like this is meant to be driven, but it's just impressive that it can do it. You do have manual shifting right here if you needed to limit the gear to a certain spot for some reason. So let's do a little 60 to 0 test, which is pretty nutso in a truck like this. Super boosted brakes, but oh my goodness. Isn't it crazy how quick that was? I left marks on the asphalt, but wow. All right, let's turn traction control off, brake torque this thing, and launch it. A little bit of rubber laid, and 60. It's really incredible how much this thing can do for how much it weighs and how comfortable it is and how well it rides. Now, if you're a big-time heavy-duty truck user and you're doing a lot of towing or a lot of construction site work or something like that, I'm just going to be honest with you, this isn't the review for you. I don't have experience with towing much more than maybe 8,000 to 9,000 pounds. Any 1,500 of these model years could pretty much take care of that. So I'm not really going to be able to give you an honest and accurate representation for how a truck like this handles at those kind of limits. But I can tell you from the daily driving perspective, it's great. And you just see my fuel low indicator came on. Certainly not helped out by that launch there, or how we're driving it. But that brings up a really interesting point of how good the fuel economy is on this thing. So I've driven it for about 1,000 miles, and on the highway, this thing gets about 20 miles to the gallon, which is just bonkers to me. I mean, yeah, that's completely unladen, just 2 passengers. It's very easy on the truck, but it's cool that you can have something with this much power and this much weight and still get 20 miles to the gallon. Good luck getting that in a lot of 1,500 trucks these days. 50 miles per hour plus around this on-ramp, and the tires are barely even squealing. Now this Toyota might prevent us from getting up to 60 here on our little highway stretch. Looks like it is. Or sorry, prevent us from getting up to 70. But we can pass them up here and hit 70, at least just for a moment. I'll turn the AC off, let you listen. So surprisingly quiet for a truck of this caliber. not as much road noise as I expected from these tires. Not as much wind noise either. And not as much engine noise. I mean, the sound is pretty low in here. It might seem a little loud. This is a concrete highway. It's a little bit louder than your standard asphalt section, but I was impressed in my highway drives. I really was. Now, I was talking with Chris over at the Topher, and if you haven't seen his channel, definitely go check it out. He and I really had trouble finding flaws in this truck. I mean, it just, for what it is, I guess its only fault is that it costs as much as it does, but I mean, all big time trucks are costing a lot these days, so it's not like it's abnormal. And it's just, I mean, I guess if you wanted to complain, it doesn't have a telescopic steering wheel, but it does have pedal adjustments, so that helps, and the steering wheel still goes up and down. I mean, yeah, it's genuinely difficult for me to find any nitpicks, and that's uncommon for any vehicle. I can usually always find little things that are wrong with it, but I mean, maybe the infotainment screen could be a little bit snappier. I guess you could put like a seat cushion adjustment, or maybe four-way lumbar support. And I think in the Fords you can get massaging seats, which you cannot on a Ram, but like, that's kind of just a gimmick. Massaging seats sound awesome, don't get me wrong, and I use them periodically when I have them, but they're not really that great. It's kind of just a bit more of a gimmicky feature, look at me type of thing. This thing has adaptive cruise control. I mean, okay, so that's one thing it doesn't have, which I don't think any other Chrysler products do, is like a semi-autonomous driving feature that centers you in the lane. It does have an active lane keeping assist, so it sort of like lightly nudges you back into the lane, but there's no active system, so I suppose that's something that Ram could add in, but I don't think I'd use it. I have no problem just driving this thing, and the active lane keep does enough. I mean, you got your convenient wireless charging there, you've got great sound system, awesome, comfortable, nice, premium materials everywhere. I'm not the only one who will tell you that Ram has really knocked it out of the park across all of their trucks. The 1500s, the HDs, they're really doing a great job, and I'm happy for them. Now, we can't even get into reliability because I just don't know. You know, I've heard not great things about many FCA trucks. So if that's something, if you kind of live superstitiously like that, I would tell you to go Toyota, but Toyota doesn't have an HD truck, so you're pretty much stuck with the American Big Three. And then it's like, well, does that mean Ford or GM's going to be much better? I don't know. I wouldn't count on it. So if I were in this market, it would be a hands down, no-brainer choice. For me, I'd be picking a Ram. Just for kicks and giggles, we'll hit this speed bump at 20 miles per hour like we always do coming in here. You can see me hop around. Even though this ride is very good, very compliant, it's still a heavy-duty truck. Oh. At least the camera didn't rock around on my nose. So I'm actually going to park in the shade right here so that I can show you all the nifty cameras on this truck. You do have controls, so a surround camera here. So you've got your 360 above view that's got cameras on all four sides transposing a truck there. You've got front, bigger front, rear, rear. You've got a view from the top of your bed, back of your bed, and the two sides. You can even see more of either side there. So when you go into reverse, a nice clear image. It really helps for placing a big truck like this. Another thing that this truck has, because of its air suspension, you can press this alt trailer height here, alternate trailer height, and then Not even sure if you'll be able to tell on the camera, but the back is lowering itself just a few inches to help with getting to a lower trailer. But that's also helpful for loading things in the back. I was doing a lot of moving with this truck. And whenever I came to load or unload, press that button, drop the rear down. Easier to climb in back. That is one thing that the Ram is missing that I suppose I could count as a criticism, is no sort of little step up into the box gimmick like Ford and GM have. GM has its little steps. Ford has its step down out of the tailgate. Ram doesn't really offer that, and I gotta admit, it would be one nice thing to see. All right, man, I love these headlights. I love the styling of this thing. So let's hop up here on the tow hook. There it is, 6.7 liter turbo diesel from Cummins, manufactured by FCA. Got an engine oil dipstick there, is nice to see. It's all in there. All right. So I hope you were able to enjoy watching this review of the awesome 2500 Ram here on Daily Heavy Duty Truck. If you like the review, check out our sound system test if you want to see more on that. Check out some of our other reviews, and please hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a bunch. You get to see a bunch of other cool content. Let us know if there are any other sort of vehicles you'd like to see. Yes, we are going to try to get a Ford heavy-duty truck in here soon, preferably with a new gas motor, but we might get a Power Stroke as well. We'll see what they offer us. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.